Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching CCN Crown City News, your neighborhood. I'm Larry Hygh Jr.
And I'm Sehnita Joshua Mattison. It's official, Pasadena has a new police chief. After 1 week on the job, he's here to tell us what he has in store for the department. Police Chief Sanchez joins us for a special edition of CCN. Thanks for being here, Chief.
Thank you.
So, 30 years with the Santa Monica Police Department. Why the change now?
Well, I think that Pasadena is an extraordinary community. It's an extraordinary department. In the community of policing, many executives will look to future challenges and how they best can engage and contribute to moving the dynamic and the community of law enforcement further down the road. Pasadena offers that unique opportunity. Great men and women that work for our organization, extraordinary leaders in the community of law enforcement, and that's supported, of course, then by good government and by a great engaged community.
What do you think will be some of the key differences between Santa Monica and Pasadena?
Well, Santa Monica is landlocked. One of the initial observations is that we, in Santa Monica, it has the city of Los Angeles on three sides and, of course, the Pacific Ocean on the west. But look at Pasadena. Pasadena is uniquely positioned in this wonderful valley of ours, San Gabriel Valley. It touches at least 7 different cities on one side or another. The people who live, visit, and work in Pasadena are extraordinarily diverse. They're extraordinarily engaged. They're very aware of the issues here in Pasadena and beyond. They're aware of the issues in the region and what's the impact of the region to our great city of Pasadena. That's very similar to Santa Monica. In that regard, as far as being engaged with the community and their level of diversity as well.
Okay.
And you may have heard of the controversy with the review and selection process for this position. How do you think that was handled?
Well, I have to say, actually, it was handled quite well. I understand that there were concerns and angst from some of the community groups. I won't go into that for a moment. What I'd like to address is that the selection process is really very, very reflective of what a chief of police does every day. It's very reflective of your public servants and the dynamics that the men and women of the Pasadena Police Department have to face. Public service is a very complex, very dynamic issue. It's changing all the time. It requires different levels of engagement and your ability to engage the community through open information sharing and through communication. The process was very reflective of that. I think that if you had concerns as a candidate about the changing environment, then the bigger question is, should you have been in the process?
Do you think that folks in the community, will there be some animosity because of the process with you and your selection?
Well, I hope not with me.
Okay.
I hope that if there's animosity, that the animosity is towards the process itself. I did comment this back on June 15th when I was introduced to the city as the incoming chief. And again, I commented that the selection process really was extraordinary. It was difficult, it was long, but ultimately it produced, I think, the best candidate for the job.
Okay. And we've talked about another issue we've had on this show is just the issue of transparency, and one of the issues is the officer-involved shooting with the Leroy Barnes incident. And the police officers union blocked the release of the officers' names, and do you think those officers' names should have been released?
Well, let me backtrack a little bit and just talk about the Leroy Barnes shooting in general. I had an opportunity to read the Office of Independent Review. Let me say that the Pasadena Police Department did an extraordinary job. You can be very proud of the men and women and the investigative capacity of the Pasadena Police Department. They had a very neutral, very fact-finding investigation. How do I know that? That investigation was then reviewed by the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office that came in, starting with the event itself, and sent in a review team consisting of district attorneys and district attorney investigators. And they looked at the Leroy Barnes shooting comprehensively as well. And then the Office of Independent Review, as you know, came in and they gave a very extensive report. The long story short is, I think that the report on produced by the Office of Independent Review really had a lot of very positive things and reaffirmed what the District Attorney's Office saw and observed, and reaffirmed really the investigative components and capacity of the Pasadena Police Department with a few corrective measures and some suggestions moving forward. Now, the city has confirmed and has dedicated itself that in any future shootings, as I understand it, resulting in the death of the suspect, that the city will reach out and will pay for the Office of Independent Review or some other investigative unit to come in and look at that investigation independent of the Pasadena Police Department's investigation. Why is that important? It does build transparency. It does build community trust. It extends trust to the community, and it suggests that the Pasadena Police Department has nothing to hide, and we don't. Also, the district attorney review will stay in place, and that is the standard practice of the County of Los Angeles.
What do you say to folks who say that officers' names, for full transparency, officers' names, videotape footage, all of that should be released? What do you say to those folks in the community?
Because there was video that wasn't released, and
right.
It still hasn't been.
So here's what the Pasadena Police Department, like any other progressive agency, deals with. It is a balance between sharing information with the public and their right and need to know, balanced against the officer's security and the well-being of the officer, physically and emotionally, the interests of the department also. And as that starts to play out, the circumstances typically dictate the time frame behind which the names might be released. I say might because there might be circumstances that preclude the department from getting that information out as quickly as some community members might hope. Let me say this, that any municipality, any chief of police is dictated in some situations, in particular shootings, by processes that he or she must follow. It serves the officer, it serves the department, it serves the community. Not necessarily in that order, but it serves them the best. What I'm about, I am about transparency. I'm about collaboration. I'm also about accurate information sharing. It does me no good to put out information quickly that's inaccurate. That suggests that there's an undertone or a sense of that we want to hide information. That's not the case. I want to be accurate with the information I have. And so I would beg the community's understanding in that regard, that there are multiple interests, but ultimately at the end of the day, I am about sharing information. I am about transparency.
But part of the issue is things like videotape. I mean, that's the whole reason that, cameras are put on police vehicles and things like that, so that, people outside who weren't in the situation can see exactly what happened. So, when we're looking for facts and truth, that's right there. Why not release that?
Well, what a great tool, isn't it? The camera, the relentless camera, as you well know, is always focused on the actions. But I'm going to suggest for one moment that the video camera footage provides one aspect, one view, one perspective of an incident. And if it's viewed out of context of the total incident, then it can cast negative undertones or positive actions of the officers, which might be inaccurate in and of themselves. So really, as true fact finders and as true people who are interested in sharing information, what we have to look at is what's the context of that video? What's the context of the audio? How is it shared? What does it mean? It's one perspective only. So while we want to get information out, again, the context is important.
As you may be aware, one of the main concerns is community diversity, and from the selection process and the department's effort in community policing, how do you propose for the police department to build trust within communities, especially the African American community?
That's a great question. First and foremost, as the leader of the Pasadena Police Department, I have to extend trust. Okay. I can't demand your trust. I can't demand your respect. But what I can tell you is I will work hard for both. And once I have them, I recognize how delicate they are. And really that misperceptions or misactions or those kinds of things erode community trust. They erode the opportunity for the Pasadena Police Department to serve this great community and serve the organization as well. I'm a big proponent, maybe one of your questions, so we'll get there. I'm a big proponent of community policing. But you know where community policing starts? It starts internal in the organization. It starts with treating our men and women in the organization with respect and appreciating their cultural differences, appreciating the differences they bring to the table with respect to their own personal beliefs and values. What I ask the men and women of the Pasadena Police Department is, when they come to the Pasadena Police Department and they check in for work, that they assimilate and they use the values of the Pasadena Police Department, the Pasadena Way that you're very familiar with, that is the foundation, that is the philosophical ideology of the organization, that is what guides us. So how does that help us get at diversity? How does that help us extend trust to the community? It suggests that if I treat my men and women fairly, consistently, with respect and understanding for the diversity that they bring to the table, then the expectation is that they'll carry that out and that'll blossom in the community.
Okay, well, speaking of the force, you're walking into the midst of a budget crunch. What are your plans to effectively provide police services when so many of the roles are already being stretched to the limit and overtime budgets are being cut? What are your plans?
So initially, my plans are to assess many of the things that are going on, the systems and the deployment strategies of the Pasadena Police Department. Let me say this for the viewing audience, and this is critical. The fundamental capacity for the Pasadena Police Department to respond to calls for service will not change. Okay. Fundamentally, it will not change. We will have officers on the scene to deal with issues, to help you mitigate or to help you resolve or to help deal with those issues. Here's the simple reality, though. The Pasadena Police Department can't do it by itself. It takes a village to address an issue or to raise a child. We need community input. We need community support. I look at this current downturn in the economics as an opportunity to further integrate and collaborate with our sister and brother agencies around. And when we talk about public safety, I'm not talking about law enforcement specifically. Public safety doesn't necessarily fall on the shoulders exclusively of law enforcement. I'm going to argue for a moment it's as much about public works, or it's as much as our libraries, it's as much as about programming that we offer our youth so that they have things to be creative and engaged with, so that we can give them life skills so that they can move forward in the future. Public safety is all our responsibilities, is as much as the community as it is the law enforcement entity.
But with this budget crunch, with all of those being stretched to the limit and cut down, I'm sure your work is funnels down to you and is being putting a lot of pressure on the police departments all across the country, actually.
Absolutely, great observation. We are working very strategically with my senior staff, and they are extraordinarily talented individuals. We look at how we best can serve the public, how we best can support that fundamental response. We understand the mandates, we understand the mission, and those, again, will not change, not fundamentally.
And we understand you're a founder of Santa Monica's Chronic Homeless Project. What are some of your experience with that can you bring to Pasadena to help with our homeless population here?
Exactly.
Yes,
well, first of all, let me give a shout out to some of the people in Santa Monica. I wasn't the exclusive founder of that. I really worked collaboratively with many of the other stakeholders from community cultural services, from of our nonprofits, from many of the faith-based groups who came together who wanted to address this issues of homelessness. Homelessness is a wicked problem. It's always changing, it's always evolving. The issues are as contemporary and as diverse as the people who are stuck in homelessness. At the end of the day, though, homelessness and addressing the issue is giving a hand up, not a hand out. Giving them the skills, giving our homeless people the skills and issues to address the issue of homelessness. What do I mean by that? We have to look at providing care strategically, wraparound services that address issues of mental health issues or issues of job skills so that we can get them more mainstream into society. That starts with wraparound housing. It starts with working with case managers and working with the HOPE team so we can identify those people who are most in need. It also works if we identify the anchors within the homeless population. Those people who are steadfast in remaining homeless. If we can get at those people and we can address their issues and concerns, then we are better to serve because they influence a group of people, their own followers, and that magnifies the problem. It was an extraordinary opportunity to help design what I believe is a very collaborative, very cutting-edge program, the Chronic Homeless program, towards addressing homelessness in the Western region. But I see a lot of potential opportunities here in Pasadena as well. And they are founded mainly around our relationship from the HOPE team to many of the social providers.
Okay. And we hope to continue this conversation. This is not going to be your last time on CCN, is it?
No, it sure won't be.
You're welcome back anytime. I know a lot of times people from Santa Monica don't want to cross the 405, but we welcome you and thank you for being here.
Thanks for this warm opportunity, and thanks for the welcoming and to speak to our community. Thank you.